excited to be here and deliver this talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, very excited to talk about the topic that I have never spoken about before, actually. If you know me, you know that I usually talk about the job applications, portfolios, CVs, networking, hiring manager behaviors, hiring teams behaviors. But for this specific conference, I decided to speak about something else, something that is very close to me this year, and something that I've been observing as a very interesting dynamic on the market. I made the presentation as happy as possible because I think it's a happy topic to discuss. And basically, the idea that I want to share with you today is that you don't need a job to have a career. I want to really dive deeper into the new ways that designers are building success on their own terms. Not necessarily only designers and researchers, but for today's specific theme, we will definitely go through like specifically designers. And I wanted to make a new format of the conversation. Imagine that it's an offline interview, and then afterwards, you and I are gonna summarize the learnings and really think about the next steps. So it's a very practical conversation, it's a very practical talk, and I really hope that you will leave that with a lot of inspiration and food for thought. So when I say you don't need a job to have a career, a lot of people raise the eyebrows. When I said that that's going to be the topic, people would say, yes, but, and I get it. Like, don't come after me right away. Let me share some numbers. And I think without the numbers even, we all know that the companies have been firing people left and right. I don't know anyone who either hasn't been laid off or doesn't know anyone who hasn't been laid off. Like I myself was laid off almost a year ago, 11 months now. And so in 2025, one source, and my best friend ChatGPT says that it was around 80,000 people that got laid off. The other source saying that it was actually around 150,000 people because there's a lot of silent layoffs, when the companies are restructuring and then people are being asked to silently leave rather than they really announce, hey, this is what's happening. And so I think we don't need to go too deep into these kind of numbers and conversations. We know that it's been happening for years and years and years. So it hasn't been just 2025. As a recruiter myself, I know that it started literally at the very end 2019. And so many people say that we live in the very rough times. It's a very complicated, it's very difficult, it's very savage market. I agree, it's complicated, but I also think that we live in incredible times because truly opportunities are limitless. Absolutely everyone right now can earn money regardless of their employment, regardless of having unlimited contract, regardless of pizza and beer benefits. So job security is a myth. We know that by now, but also the opportunities are truly limitless. So I think if we're going to be scared of something this year, it shouldn't be the layoffs. It really should be the old school mind. It should be the salary caps. Because I don't know about you, but I've experienced and I've observed so many talented individuals not having the salary raises because the times are complicated, even though the companies are generating more and more revenue every year. Forced office days, because, well, that's how we believe the culture is built, not through meaningful development, not through relationships and all of those things. Next year, promotions. I'm a victim of those myself. And I don't know if you've ever been told that, yeah, maybe, in the year, maybe next year. Oh, yes, you are acting on the next level, but there is no business need for that seniority. And yes, of course, you can do the job, but you cannot have the title. Or making work visible, because that's the office environment. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that working for a company is bad. There are amazing products, amazing companies, amazing visions, amazing founders. And I do believe that working for a very mission driven organization can be extremely rewarding in terms of financial freedom and in terms of opportunities, networking, and things like that. But I want to deliver to you one and one thought only with this conversation. It's not the only way. I know that I was scared about salary caps and free coffee as a benefit. So in 2020, I decided that I have to take my life in my own hands. So I went and I wrote my first post. I started to vent, but then I quickly realized that this is growing visibility for me. This is giving me the opportunities that I always wanted. It didn't happen overnight, don't get me wrong. In 2022, I only went on my first live conference event. And no, I wasn't invited. I had to pitch myself. I had to sell myself so they invite me. And yet that happened. In 2023, 3 years after I wrote my first LinkedIn post, I was invited to collaborate and got my first freelance check. I earned my own money without being an N26 employee, a Mirror employee, or whatever employee that I was before. And in 2024, as I think up until now, the best thing happened to me. I was asked not to come back to the office. I was laid off, but I think that was a real push that I needed to use the full potential that I had. And so from 2025 onwards, well, this year basically, I hit my first 6 digits that I earned on my own name, not as Lena X Miro, not as Lena Research, not as Lena Recruiter, but as Lena Kul, as a person who is doing whatever they want to be doing with their life, with their knowledge, with their time, and with the value that they want to deliver. So I'm not alone as well in this market. You know those people. You all have seen those people. Some of those people are speaking at those events, at this conference as well. Look at Aneta, Emily, Kate, Amanda, Han. Those are the 5 people that I invited for my conversation and gonna share some of the learnings offline, because those are the people that really showing that non-linear careers exist, that self-employment sometimes is more beneficial than employment, that it's more safe, it's more creative, it's freeing simply. And so this whole conversation is going to be about lessons and tips from those designers and researchers who are building their own careers regardless of what the companies are doing. And I want to start with the Neta. So basically what I did is that I asked for permission, of course, to feature those amazing folks. And I asked 3 questions each. I just wanted to really kind of understand what are the strengths and major learnings and, do's and don'ts that they have experienced in their self-employment life. The now titles are literally made up by me, so please don't come after them. Aneta does not call herself as content first freelancer. This is something that I just given to you so you can understand a little bit more what Aneta is focusing mostly. So you might have seen her on LinkedIn. If not, please go and follow. She's sharing incredible stuff, specifically on portfolios and really like for the folks who want to be going and kind of applying for jobs. And so she used to be a product designer in-house, and now she's a founder and designer educator on LinkedIn and Instagram. She has hundreds of thousands of followers. She's freelancing for companies as a product designer as well, so she didn't leave design behind. She also created her own course and launched it this year. It was a big success. It was awesome to see how she really made like a big company launch. She also is doing one-on-one portfolio review sessions, and she is running her own newsletter. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Aneta really diversified of what skills she brings and what she can be doing with her own time instead of just doing one thing. No, it doesn't mean that you should be doing all of those things together, but it also means that opportunities, as I said, are limitless. And so the first question that I ask is, how did content become basically her client pipeline? So like, how did she get clients out of content? And so she said that she started 4 years ago as well on Instagram, sharing her thoughts and tips, and really started growing on LinkedIn simultaneously as well. I think this is really cool because you can also see it does not happen overnight. Like, no one is promising here that you go write one LinkedIn post and boom, you exceed all your expectations. It does take time and repetition, but everything is possible. She basically also wanted to really connect to the audience. So not only she shared the common themes of product designs, but she also shared struggles. And I think that is so important because so many successful people speaking only about successes, but what about the things that really made us successful? And as a rule, those are failures. And in terms of converting the audience, well, guess what? When you post, you get offers for freelance gigs because she was showing her design skills. She was getting offers for actual full-time roles, for brand deals, because yes, brands see that she's in certain stack, or that she is the very right person to talk about certain products, and so they offer money basically for the attention that she's grabbing. And of course, she's had lots of speaking deals. I believe that Annette is actually also speaking at this conference, which is absolutely incredible. I also asked, like, what was the biggest mindset shift? Because I feel, and personally, as a person who also moved from full-time to solo, This is something that takes time, and many fear self employment because of that mindset shift. So what she told me was very interesting. She said that employee mindset is very different from entrepreneurial mindset, and there are certain kind of differentiations. When you are an entrepreneur, you have to think in systems, automation, delegation. So basically, you always have to think about efficiency. How can you make yourself more efficient, especially if you're a solopreneur? Because not anymore, oh, let's jump on the 30 minutes call. Like when people who are employed by companies say that, I understand why. Because you're being paid for like the overall thing. Here, every minute counts. Within every minute that you're wasting with someone, you could be doing something absolutely different with other company or with another client, with other opportunity, writing gig or whatever, and generating your money. So I really love that Aneta says not only systems and automation and delegation were like the drivers for success, but also she realized that having a vision and fearful prioritization was extremely important. And I guess everyone who has ever worked for themselves, if you're on this call, can really relate to that, because really knowing where you're going, and not no one knows where exactly they're going, by the way, but like having some sort of vision in mind and being able to prioritize your time and your efforts to get there is extremely important. And I also ask how to balance service work with personal brand, because that's what a lot of people who do both, including myself, really struggling. And so Aneta said, balance doesn't exist. And that's actually something that I think also is extremely relatable. Work-life balance, like we all know that doesn't work this way. So she said that some months are more client heavy and some months are more content heavy. And I think for anyone who is considering going into self-employment or trying out some things, you need to understand that some months pay better and some months pay nothing, and that should be okay. Like that is the new mindset, once again, that you need to get in. And so you should be trying and being ready to fail. Isn't that what designers do best? Really iterating and testing and failing fast. And so she said that, to build the system, you really need to be kind of open-minded in that regard. So thank you so much, Aneta. That was really, really insightful. Then the second person that I brought was Emily. Emily and I met last year. She's also quite famous on LinkedIn for her incredible tips and conversations about impact around design and business. She's really diving deeper. She used to be a senior product designer in the company, and last year she launched her own micro design studio. She is also, of course, still a content creator, and she's writing about all the things design, and she is a conference speaker. And so I asked Emily a couple of different questions that would really be similar to what she's doing now. So I asked, like, what are the do's and don'ts of starting an agency? Because I don't know about you, but when I was starting my solo agency, there weren't that many people who would be sharing those insights with me. And I was very lucky because I did surround myself with the folks who were very generous. But I think this kind of knowledge is not public enough. So basically, Emily said that giving clients options when pitching is very important. I think that is a very interesting way to go, because when you just say one thing, if the client doesn't like it, it's really hard to sell. But really diversifying your portfolio makes a lot of sense. She also said that she had to get comfortable with selling, and that's something that is not very natural for many of us. I'm a recruiter, I pitch all the time, yet selling myself is the skill that I'm still working on as well. So can really relate. She also said that nothing is permanent. So you need to experiment, you need to position yourself, reposition, test, retest, and just see what's working, what's not. But even if things working now, it doesn't mean that they're gonna work forever. So ambiguity is your best friend, and flexibility is the skill and the muscle that you have to basically just flex more and more. She said that you shouldn't be stressed if early work isn't the perfect fit. And I think this is just a golden rule, because so many people go into self-employment and say, now I'm going to get my dream clients. And guess what? It doesn't happen this way. But really being open-minded about, okay, this client is not perfect, but these are the things that I can get out of it. These are the things that I can learn from it. These are the things that I can pitch to the next more perfect client. This is the mindset of an entrepreneur. Take whatever you can get and get the best out of it. Don't be hungry, grabbing absolutely everything, but also don't play the perfectionist, because that's not how business works. She also said that you have to basically save for 6 months of a runway if possible. absolutely gorgeous tip, because you don't want to be hungry. You want to make sure that there is space for you to be creative. You need to protect boundaries, avoiding burnout, because you are one resource that you have. And then, of course, referrals are better than the cold leads. So, yes, you can be texting everyone that you don't know, but if you talk to people who know you and could refer you, that's when the business really starts to flourish. I also ask what she learned about like business and pricing and prioritizing, because indeed pitching agency or pitching just yourself is a little bit of a different game. So she basically said that selling is survival. So you have to back yourself. You have to talk well about yourself. And I feel like that's what this market is also teaching us about. This is what I teach on all the courses, that you shouldn't be saying about, we did this, we did that. No, what is it that you bring to the table? How is it that you're going to be pitching yourself? Very similar mindset and very similar skill here. Positioning involves as you go, and that is okay. Whatever you were 3 months ago as an agency doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be exactly the same, and you should be just rolling with it. Early projects don't need to be perfect, and then clear boundaries matter once again for a long term success. So I really love that. A lot of do's and don'ts for the agencies are really like biggest learnings about positioning as well. So like really being careful with also not allowing your clients crossing your boundaries, especially in the first projects, because you want to prove yourself, you want to show, you want to get the name, and that is when it's very easy to get screwed over, basically, and overused. So be careful with that. And then the last one, I ask, okay, what did you wish you had known 6 months ago, for example? And now looking back, you're like, I wish I knew that. So she said something extremely interesting and valuable, in my personal opinion, that pitching is slow. So it takes a lot of time for the call to convert sometimes. And this is something that I am sure many founders will tell you, or many freelancers will tell you, that once you get an introduction, it doesn't mean that you gonna get there right away. And this is very similar for networking, actually. I talk a lot about it, that you don't network to get something now. You network to raise your net worth. So pitches are the same. You basically just like plant the seed and then see how it's growing with time. You also need to learn how to delegate sooner. I absolutely love this one, because there are so many things to do that. And of course, you might have heard about lots of AI tools. Like everyone is so scared about AI. I literally don't understand how people used to build businesses without AI. So now you can delegate to your AI agents and just make your life much easier. So that's what I say. Opportunities are limitless. You don't even have to pay money to actually get help. And also, you need to be strict with scope and late payments fees. And I think this one is very interesting, because so many people feel kind of ashamed to ask for money when, like the money is not coming in. But we all have to remember that business is business, and we're not working for free here. We all should be paid for our efforts. So I really love that Emily was really kind of transparent with those ugly parts of being self-employed. Thank you, Emily. It wouldn't be my talk if I didn't talk about Kate. Kate is such a big inspiration to me. Kate and I used to work together at Miro, and now what she's doing is absolutely incredible. So I am so happy to just share a little bit about her story and tell, like, from where to where she went, because so many people see now Kate and she's such a big success, but like, what happened and how did it happen? So basically, Kate was an head of growth product design at Mira, and now she's a creator first founder. Once again, this is the title that I gave to Kate, so please don't come after this one. So basically, Kate is the founder of GrowthMates. GrowthMates is the newsletter and the podcast. If you have not listened to GrowthMates, go ahead and enjoy yourselves, because that's my literally favorite podcast. Like, I absolutely love the topics, the people, the intimacy of the conversations. It's just so laid back and awesome. Kate is also advising. So, like, she's a growth advisor for SaaS companies and startups, because she was doing a lot of that in her head of growth product design role. And now she just took it externally. Similar like you, if you're a product designer or a product design lead or a research lead or whatever you're doing right now, you can also take that and do externally. Kate also built Maven courses, very successful ones. If it's basically, she also took all the knowledge and basically built the course and monetized it, which I personally think is the future of people who feel that they have enough skill set and expertise to share. I personally am a Maven instructor as well, and it is incredible that you can put all the knowledge into the course and then help hundreds of people to succeed. And so Kate is doing that. And of course, Kate is a speaker because she's got a lot to say. So I asked Kate a very direct question. Okay, Kate, newsletter, podcast, all of those things. How did you monetize? So, like, where does the money come from? That's the most complicated part for many people who are about to go and become a creator or freelancer or solopreneur, whatever you call it. And that was the thing that took me the longest as well to figure out, like, how do I monetize on things? So Kate said that podcast and newsletter bring a lot of sponsorships. Of course, it's not a passive effort. I'm not selling you unicorns, even though it looks like a unicorn presentation. So, of course, it takes a lot of conversations, networking, introductions, referrals, right? Like something that we've discussed from Emily's and Annette's conversations. But having that presence allows Kate to come to amazing tools and companies and say, I run this newsletter, I run this podcast, would you like to support it? And this is exactly how it works. Kate has also started growing on LinkedIn. And you might have noticed that I'm showing you everyone's LinkedIn's and not anything else, because I think LinkedIn is such a place right now to monetize and to grow and to become whoever you want to be in your life, independently of the companies and employers. So she basically started to grow on LinkedIn. She's been doing it amazingly. If you've ever seen Kate's content, it's literally golden. And she has as well started getting partnerships on that from different tools. So very similar to what she was doing with podcast and newsletter. And now she's building a scalable system. Like she's working with Framer and Mobin on that as well. And I love that Kate said scalable systems, because that's kind of similar to what Annette was saying. Like you need to build scalable systems. So you can see that people can be doing different things from different angles, but the principles are very similar. So I asked Kate, like, okay, you've been doing it for a couple of years now, like what worked well and what hasn't? So Kate said that what really worked well for her is really niching down. So she went for PLG and UX onboarding. I 100% can literally relate to that, because I niche down not to design, but like only product design and only user research and only job search. And that was also the time when I started to grow the most. She also said that quality was more important to her than quality. So she went from, like small deals to like 5-figure sponsorships, having even less than 10K of the audience. But because her audience is so curated and so high quality, brands are very happy to actually work with her, because she niched down so much from the very beginning. Because if you're talking about everything, you're talking about nothing. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And so Kate really understood that from the very beginning and was able to close really high paying deals, because when the sponsor would go and throw, whatever promotion into 10K people who are very specialized, of course, conversion is much higher than you throw it at 100,000 people, but they whoever and work however. She also said that one-off deals was a waste of time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of back and forth kind of conversations that don't bring as much. And I think that also echoes a lot the prioritization part that we discussed before, right? So like really being extremely careful with absolutely everything you do. And yes, sometimes as a solopreneur, you would see the money on the table. You would think, oh, so close, like I can get it. But you have to understand that there will be a time investment from your end to get to that money. And then you need to realize for yourself that sometimes, even if it looks good now, with the amount of effort and time and commitment that you will have to invest, it will not pay you well. So you can repurpose this time and do something better with it. And then she also said that wrong hires or poor guest post, for example, so like really not being extremely critical about who is like joining the brand or the business itself. It was really like more effort rather than pay out. So she's really selective and critical right now about whoever is kind of working with her and growth mates as a brand. And I think what also was really important to me to understand, Kate was a very respected design leader from a very cool company. Let's face it, Miro is a great product, right? And so I asked, like, what role has visibility played in shaping your current career that did not depend on your employer? And I absolutely love that answer. She said basically that it built credibility beyond mirror. And you need to understand that brands are amazing. You should brand drop, like name drop and say, I worked here, I worked there. But nothing is better than if you are being associated with who you are, with what brand you have built, with what company you have established. So I really love that Kate really recognized it extremely quickly right away and said, this is where, like this is where the power of establishing her own brand was. She also said that content, once again, became the lead generation. Like she didn't have to do sales, she didn't have to do ads, and at this point, if that's a new information to you, you are sleeping on the money. And I want you to understand and ask me questions if you want to, that having content presence not only making you visible in the world and more hireable, but also gives you speaking opportunities, uh, you know, brand opportunities, money opportunities, and that's freedom. So that's what Kate highlighted. And she also said that community and connection was absolutely priceless, that she has built from her presence. I really love that she brings that up because, to be honest, you have access to people that you would never, ever have otherwise. But by building brand, you become that person that others gravitate towards. I'm experiencing that every day, and that is absolutely incredible. So that's what basically Kate highlighted as some of the major advantages of being visible in her own way. I also wanted to present you Amanda. It's actually really amazing because Amanda is also speaking at this event. So it's so funny because like Aneta and Amanda came to my mind like back in summer when I was prepping for this talk, and afterwards I saw that they also talking, and I was like, this is such a good proof that I'm choosing them as like these amazing folks who have built these like very interesting careers, and here they are speaking, sharing, encouraging, enabling, inspiring. And so Amanda had an incredible career, nothing to say. She has some big names. She's worked at Luft, she's worked at Asana as a research manager, and now she's basically a founder, a consultant, and a speaker. Once again, this is my title, please, let's leave it. But basically what Amanda is doing, she's the founder of AHA Studio. So she runs strategic research and facilitation. She does a lot of amazing workshops. So if you don't know Amanda, like check her out. She's also running Maven courses that talk more about that as well. Really incredible. Like I partnered with Amanda to really spread the word because I think the work that she is doing is absolutely incredible. And fun fact, I saw Amanda in actions because Amanda basically came to Miro when I was still a Mironer, and me, Amanda, and another researcher, incredible researcher, Boo, we actually partnered and we created a very cool Miro template for the folks who got laid off and how to think about it next. So not only she's an incredible human being and researcher, but she also really kind of, tried to support everyone. And I saw that entrepreneurial spirit from the first day. So she's the founder of the studio. She has the Maven course, the newsletter, the paid workshops as well. And for all the researchers on the calls, she's also doing one-on-one mentoring on very different topics. So if you want to, definitely check it out. So I wanted to ask Amanda more questions about like consulting and really kind of learning things as well. So I asked like, how did you land your first consulting gig? And that was very interesting because it basically came through like a book project. So once again, all the warm connections and referrals that you have, all the people that you know can easily convert into your potential clients. So many people don't go into self-employment because they're scared that they're not going to get clients. But you should go and talk to people who you know. You never know who needs what. And that is how it can be really kind of, coming up. She also workshopped an idea, literally, and that led to a training. And she saw that there's a lot of transferable skills that she can bring from research to like entrepreneurship. So she went for it. I also asked, what was the cringiest part of putting yourself out there, especially on LinkedIn? Everyone is talking, oh, it's so cringe. I'll never understand that, but sure, whatever. Lots of people use that word when we talk about visibility. And so I said, like, how did you push through it, basically? Because it's not so common for everyone to feel absolutely fine with this. So she said, yes, I felt awkward because it didn't really have like a neat product, like being like, oh, look at my course, something like that. So she went and did what all researchers do incredibly well. She started to experiment. She also reframed as a service rather than just like me, Amanda. Like, this is what I do as the business. This is what I do as a founder. This is what I do as an agency. And she shared small stories instead of like very polished pitches. And I think that's an incredible insight actually that we all should be using. As soon as people go into like self-employment or companies, like all this like weird jargon comes in and like everyone becomes so professional, but humans connect to humans. We all want to be humans. We all want to live in a more real world, I guess, right? Like, we're all tired of this corporate stuff, and so that's what Amanda really recognized as a opportunity, and she started connecting to the audience through like more natural language, and I really really love that. I also asked, what's one thing that you wish you had done sooner when going independent? And I'm sure different people would have different tips. But she basically said that she started treating workshops and trainings, the things that she's doing now a lot, as a core of the business, not just extra. And I really love this insight because sometimes you think that your offering is going to be X, but then you need to be flexible enough to see that the demand might be different and that you should be repositioning yourself a little bit and really kind of giving more space to that. So this is also like a super big insight, I think, for everyone who's going independently, because even if you think you know what your business is going to be about, guess what? It might be a little bit different or very different, because even Amazon didn't start like Amazon. Then Amanda said the consultant wasn't just DAX, right? So it's like really facilitation is what really kind of brought the light to her, and like something that she was extremely passionate. So it wasn't just kind of doing the DAX work. It was really kind of working with people and really being like face to face, one on one, kind of really bringing that life energy. So I think it is also really cool because so many people think that like freelance and consultant is just like this dirty work. It doesn't have to be anymore. Companies don't want to hire full-time employees, but they're happy to hire freelancers at the moment. So you know what? There is a lot of work out there. And she also said that leaning in made business click. So like really kind of letting herself go and like just be and like see what's working, see what's not working, and really kind of seeing what is bringing the most joy and money and kind of making that core deal. So I thought it was really incredible because it's such a simple and yet it's really genius insight. And honestly, my talk would not be a talk about people with non-linear careers, people who inspire, people who break the rules. Honestly, if I did not talk about Han, because I am such a big, honestly, like big fan of Han and everything that he does. He enabled me to become, to an extent, who I am today. He helped me to monetize for the very first time in my life. And I'm very happy that I can present him and just tell you a little bit of Han's story, because Han actually was a staff product designer at the company. And then afterwards, as he told me a couple of weeks ago, he pivoted into recruitment because he thought it was easy. Now Hank is pivoting back into design. And if you don't know his journey, like, go ahead. I mean, first of all, it's hilarious how he's talking and writing. Like, I absolutely adore his sense of humor. It's incredible. But also he's very, very insightful because he's looking from both perspectives, as designer, as a recruiter. And now he's also building one of the biggest communities. So he founded his own agency. He started to write on LinkedIn. He became quite popular, 50K plus people. He started to build community afterwards on the backbone for super senior designers in New York. And now he has the largest design community. And he started his new newsletter, which is only Thanks. And that's like his journey of getting from recruitment career that he's having now into the fan or something very, very good in design within 6 months. Honestly, this is awesome. Like, go check it out. And so I asked a couple of questions from Han because I think there are very little people like Han in the world. Like, all the insights were incredibly interesting. So I said, like, what is the biggest takeaway from trying something new for you? And he said that, whenever you try something new, you need to know when to quit. And I really like it because it's a little bit of a different side of the same point when everyone said, You need to experiment, like you need to adapt, you need to iterate. But I love how Hannah's closing it with like, you must know when to stop and when things do not work. So I really, really love that. He also said that you need to pivot or merge projects sometimes. And this is an incredible insight because sometimes you think it's different things, but then, they will start colliding. And that's why I always say you need to be open minded. You need to stay flexible because honestly, even if you think you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. And it's totally okay. This is the reality of solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, or something like that. And you should build on top of past efforts. And if we're talking about systems, scalable systems, remember that like everyone should be having as like the founder, this is the actual example of that. So if I had a talk, then I have a recording. I can cut it into snippets and share it everywhere else. I can write a post on LinkedIn about it. I can honestly do so much with that content without coming up with all the new information because it's still extremely valuable. And Han, I think, is literally like the king of doing that. So if you ever wonder, definitely chat with him. I also ask like why detours, so like going from design to recruitment to design now again. Like why you think it doesn't mean like failure but means experimentation. And I really love what he says. He said like basically recruiting kind of felt like failure but led to building largest senior design community in New York. So even if you feel that something is failing, you just might not be at the end of it. And I really, really kind of understand that point because sometimes you think that things that you kicked off kind of did not work out, but you don't know what's ahead of you. So once again, being flexible is really important. Projects fed into a notch as well. Another recruitment fed into content, content fed into community, community fed into the brand deals. Because guess what? He does get paid as well for running this community. So that's how he monetized. And he also said the detours are foundations of growth, which is absolutely incredible. We all learn only from our failures, not from our wins. Believe us. So I think this is a really good message here. And then basically, I also ask, what have you learned from going from design, recruitment, and back? Something that's going to really help him now to become a better designer potentially because he's going back into full-time employment. And he said that he learned that recruiters and managers, hiring managers, value different signals and skills than designers think. Designers also overinflate skills than the market reality is. So, and that's why there is so much, misalignment. And he says that signal and competency and portfolios in interviews is key. And so now, from gaining all this knowledge from his recruitment job, he can really use it to his own advantage. So I really love how he didn't lose any time. He didn't miss any opportunity. He really uses it everything for, to be successful. So that brings us to very quick overview. And I'm not going to be going into details because I'm sure you're going to get the deck and everything. Like top tips for you to start from everything you've heard and myself included. One, you have to shift your identity. So you need to decide for yourself that you are not working for the company. No one is going to be telling you what to do. You are the founder. So you decide who to work, how to price, how to prioritize, and what kind of systems to build. It's scary, but it's also really, really fun. So use that opportunity for yourself. Two, you must set up your business early. So if you are thinking about going into self-employment right now, it doesn't mean that you need to drop your role and go and be self-employed. I had my business running for a year. Emily also had her side business running for some time before she quit, and like so many of us did. So you really need to like understand that you need to become a business, so literally open like a tax ID, or like set up some tools that you can invoice people, understand how to invoice people, how you're gonna work internationally or locally, all of those things. Get like a tax advisor or a lawyer, write a contract with ChatGPT. Like, be ready to be a business. That is an extremely important thing before you go. Three, you need to diversify your income. If this presentation taught you anything, is that no one earns money from just one thing. Everyone is doing different things: courses, consultancies, advising, content, like communities, and all of those things. So in my potential for like personal first 3 months, I earned 100K. And everyone thinks it was just from hiring. Of course, hiring was a big pillar of that, but I also did different cohorts with Maven. I did one-on-one advising. I did my self-paced course. I did brand partnerships deals. I also was a paid teacher for different courses. Because as we learned from some of the creators, sometimes you earn a lot, and like I earned 100K in 3 months. But then for the next 3 months, I almost didn't earn anything, right? So once again, you need to be ready for that. You need to be flexible, basically. Well, that's what I'm trying to say, I guess, in very easy words. Then, 4, build your brand. Honestly, if it wasn't clear for you, I don't know what was doing here for the last 41 minutes. Then I totally failed. Like your brand really helps you to get into the rooms that you didn't know that even existed, to attract inbound clients, to get the free tools, get better deals, get better opportunities, and really make yourself visible for the right people. Be it a self-employment or be it an other employment, like a full-time employment. Do whatever, with that, but this is your resource to use afterwards, however you want. And then 5, build the runway. Of course, you need to make sure that you have money to survive if you go into self-employment. I really love the advice of 6 months. I personally had exactly 6 months of the runway as well. And you just want to make sure that you know how much you spend, and then you have enough to live the same lifestyle for 6 months. So the entrepreneurship or solopreneurship doesn't feel like you waste your opportunity, but feels like something that you betting on yourself. And so, yeah, that's basically explaining why it's so important. And I want you all to be encouraged after this conversation to be your own founder, because you are your best investment. You should remember that. Okay. So I know, yeah.
So, hello. So we have probably time for one question. If you want, Lena, in the live stream chat, there are a few questions from LinkedIn and also from Riverside.
Yeah.
You can choose the one that you would like to answer. It's up to you, or do you want me to choose?
It's okay. I can choose. I can also do more than one, I think, very quickly. So, a
Okay.
question from Gustavo was when you have experience across several creative areas but want to be seen as an expert in UX UI, what's the best way to highlight your expertise without sounding like a jack of all trades? Start sharing the things that you know best. Basically, it doesn't matter whether it's UX UI or anything like that. I started talking about the things that I really knew, and if you look at any of the other folks that I presented today, they did exactly the same. And you will see that you are niching down very naturally, because you will be speaking about the things that are your major strengths. So if you believe that UX UI are your major strengths, start talking about that, and it will naturally put you in the frame of an expert in that field. Question from Avatar. Can you give an example for a sponsor? Um, Anyone can be a sponsor, any tool. Miro sponsors people, Framer sponsors folks. Like I recently worked with Framer, which was absolutely incredible, because I think Framer is an incredible tool on itself without even being sponsored for that. Any tool that you're using as a designer, any tool that you're using as a business. So depending on what you're talking about, anything can be a sponsor. I'm a recruiter. I can be working with like recruitment tech, for example, and really being sponsored by them, because I can be talking how they help me with my day to day. And then the last question was, what rules have you found that help you decide between doing things for free, getting paid for them? I love this question, and I'm gonna tell you that like for me it's still work in progress. I used to do everything for free, and now I'm really starting to look back. So like I used to give a lot of advice for free. People would DM me and ask me questions, and I would answer them for free. I would always speak for free, at the events and conferences. And now I feel like I've reached the point that I'm like, okay, I built my name. People know that I'm an expert. People know that my advice is good. So now is the time for me to back a little bit and ask for to be remunerated for that. So I think there's no right or wrong. Just be flexible with like, sometimes you may give more for free in the beginning, but then you will see that like you're ready for asking for money. I hope that helps. All right. Well, we are at time, 45 minutes exactly. Thank you so much, folks. It was really awesome.
Thank you, Lena. It's really nice, and I'm sure everyone who's tuned in on LinkedIn, YouTube, etc., had almost 100 people tuned in. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to Lena, and thank you for all your questions too. And we'll end this